recording, and I'll cut the bits of this that I don't like, but yes, Axeman. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Gringos Liberados. I'm Dia. I'm going to be pseudo-hosting from the corner. I think 4x4 is above me, and if I got the angles right, this side of me is Axeman. RMC should be somewhere over there.
Oh,
and,
well done.
we're here to talk
Dia's
about...
over there. Nope.
Yeah, the only...
Missed it immediately.
Dia's
Oh
everywhere.
boy. Dia's everywhere.
We're here to talk about the only thing that's going on in CBLOL right now. The only thing that matters is playoffs. So, I know that we talked about this a little bit earlier, so I'm going to lead in with a question that we're not going to go in chronological order. 4x4, you have opinions on this Loud Pain series. I think everybody has a lot of opinions on the Loud Pain series, but I want you to start us because RMC still needs to emotionally recover.
Yeah. Well, so I'm actually gonna give my opinions, and I want to toss it to RMC because he does have an interesting perspective. I'm being serious. He is a professional broadcaster who can be unbiased when he needs to be, but he is also a fan. So I would like to you get a dual perspective from our boy here. I think to try to repeat what I said kind of off air and keep it succinct. If there was ever a time where Loud felt the most vulnerable and Pain felt like they were the best because they had legitimately involved. We were banging on about it all split. And none of the things we said, I think, are suddenly wrong because I would not take back any of the things that we said beforehand, which is also why this was so shocking. Just to have, and in games 1 and 2, it's, this felt more like a slaughter than it was. But in games 1 and 2, Pain had chances to win. And then and then game 3, look, we were calling for it in draft. We were calling for it on broadcast. We say, look, you got to take a swing if you're Pain in game 3. And they took a swing. It backfired catastrophically. Yeah. But I think people would have found just as many reasons to be pissed off, if not more, if they ran back the same draft in game 3 when it didn't work in games 1 and 2, especially when it is the upper bracket, right?
I would have had nothing left to say also.
Yeah. If it was grand finals, then okay, whatever. But look, you have that second life. You've still got to win just that one best of 5, right? You're in a pretty good spot, all things considered. But that's why this felt like the most insane to me, is because everything, like the stars aligned, the things in and out of their control seemed like they were aligning as best a fashion as possible. And at the end of the day, it's still Loud, and it feels like they didn't even break a sweat. RMC, to you.
I mean, that's 9 straight wins in playoffs that Loud has against Pain. And a lot of it does feel mental. I think Robo on Ilha de Landis basically flat out said, like, he just knows what Wise is going to do from start to finish. And that was how that game felt, right? Like, he just picked Poppy every single game. That felt like Pain had no answer. And it's kind of disgusting, too, because I'm looking at Pain in every other game they've played this split. Like, regular season playoffs, doesn't matter. Loud never plays this cleanly against anybody.
No, they flip a switch. It's really frustrating. Like, even if you're a Loud fan, and I'm not a Loud fan, but I feel like I have been more of the Loud defender when everybody else was kind of, and this is going to sound revisionist, I grant, but just trust me here. When everybody else was like, oh no, Loud, they're, this is the year that they're dethroned. Look, maybe, but I kept saying, look, let's remember that these guys, they do this every split.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Whenever you have these doubts creep in, they seem to have this ability, like you're saying, RMC, to flip a switch. And that's really frustrating for a number of reasons.
It is. And they whipped out crazy things as well, right? Like the Xerath mid in game 1. That had to be banned out.
That was
game
crazy.
2, right?
That
is
crazy.
Do we see Loud doing this to anybody else? No, it's only to Pain.
No.
But that's the problem. And honestly, so far in the playoffs, Pain and Loud have looked a level above everybody else. So if Loud are playing like this right now, it does feel like they're pretty much shooting for the grand finals. If Pain gets back to the grand finals, I think the narrative isn't anymore about, 2 best teams. It's literally just, we're here for the coronation of the kings, for the founding of a dynasty from Loud. And the only question is, can Pain stage a rebellion? Right now, it doesn't look like it. And it really hurts as a Pain fan, because this is not how Pain should be playing. They're also underplaying. I don't want to undersell Loud, because Loud did really well. But Pain is also not playing to the level we expect from them. Game 1, yes. Games 2, game 3, I don't know what I was watching.
I'm gonna jump in here because I don't know what to focus on in terms of, like, I don't think Pain played up to par. I also don't think that Loud played that series super well. I think they were fine. Loud played okay. And Croc was crazy. But I don't think that the Loud that we're seeing in this playoffs is better than the Loud we saw last playoffs. I think that this is a worse team right now. I want to hear from Axeman, but I
Yeah.
want to hear from everyone. But Axeman, go ahead.
Going into the series with Pain, I was pushing the narrative that we might get a 10-game Super Series.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be really fun because Pain looked like the strongest they've ever been, and Loud looked, like you said, Dia, the weakest they've been in a long time, and trying really hard to scrape through for the three-peat. So I thought it was going to be super even. After this series, it's Loud 12-0, and it's not close, and I don't think anything's really going to change about that. They just have Pain downloaded. I'll agree it's not the strongest we've seen Loud, but we also see Loud scale up through playoffs, and playoffs isn't over yet. So they still got some room in the tank. I think Kasifi's going to be a major wake-up call, and like vengeance is coming. Like all the questions we dared to ask of the Kings,
Yeah.
we will all be executed for our crimes. Like how dare we ever question Tin Owns and Robo? We should have never stopped believing in them. And yeah, no, they're gonna be in Worlds form in short order. For Pain, I don't know what happened. Because not only did they get outclassed by Loud just super heavily, they didn't look individually good, and we talk about teams scaling into playoffs and like getting better in the best of fives because you can adapt in drafts and things like that. Pain looked like awful in the best of five. They did not adapt. They didn't have any other tools in the back pocket. There wasn't like some weird draft that allowed them to punch back at Loud. They just got 3-0'd, and it looked bad every single time from them. After doing the same to INTZ, which is deeply, deeply concerning.
I will say, I think that if Karaoke doesn't play Kha'Zix, there's a world where they win game 3. I know that it looked terrible,
Really?
but it started because Kha'Zix had such a specific condition to impact the game, and he was literally like the first or second person to die, and then Karaoke was like, oh, never mind, I'm not going to play the game because I have to do everything else, and then Weiser got giga gapped because there were 2 people in top lane, and that was losing.
Yeah, no, it was awful.
Armsy?
Who was it that I was saying if they got one more Kha'Zix pick that they were going to get Hugato'd? Was that Jasamas?
They probably was Jasamas.
I think it was Jasamas.
Yeah.
And I was that was like episode 3 or something like that. I was like, if I see one more bad Kha'Zix game, you're getting replaced with Hugato. And now it's Karaoke. Yeah, Karaoke. If you ever play Kha'Zix like that again, holy cow, man! Oh my gosh, so many good junglers in Academy.
Yeah.
So I want to address the Kha'Zix point though, because I agree
Yeah,
with you. The Kha'Zix pick was absolutely abysmal. But the problem is I looked into the future and I saw 14,605 futures, Dia, and out of them, maybe one of them Karaoke wins. The Ivern wasn't working, right? The Sejuani was never going to be let through. And I don't think the Maokai was going to be much different from the Ivern,
No.
unfortunately. So yes, the Kha'Zix pick is particularly bad, but I don't know what Karaoke needs right now to change things up. And I'm actually not even going to put most of this loss on Karaoke. Like I thought Karaoke was okay because he's playing Ivern. It's not his job to carry. B-Boy I thought did well. My questions came from almost everyone else. Then Kiddo had a good game 3, but games 1 and 2 it was meh. Weiser and Pro Delta were I think the bigger letdowns to me. And it's not fair to Pro Delta, but I feel like when you're given something like a Rakan, I expect you to do more, you know? And he just couldn't. Seos had answers from him every single time. Weiser was read like a book.
I think a lot of it comes down to Weiser, like because if your jungler is picking Ivern, and if you've gone into the series going, I'm going to pick Ivern, and your top laner is picking Renekton, well, somebody's got to stand in front of your AD carry, and it's not going to be your Ivern.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like, yeah.
Yeah, like you can't just be abandoning Ivern in the Baron pit like they did in game 1.
That was horrific. Yeah.
It literally cost them the game for some odd reason. I don't understand why. Yeah. It's weird.
4-4?
No, I mean, I don't really have much to echo. I think the real disappointment was Weiser, right? We just didn't see him have the impact that he could. Pro Delta, yeah, I felt like he was a little bit exposed, right? That was his first time playing in a best of 3 against Loud, or a best of 5 against Loud, which is the baptism by fire that every single Pain player has to face at some point.
Yeah.
And look, good thing it's good thing it is a they still got the lower bracket. I still believe
Mhm.
that this Pain team could beat Loud. I think they're good enough.
Yeah.
But it's just about execution, and that's what makes part of this. That's part of what makes this series so hard to talk about. Is that it feels like we're just delving into amateur psychology at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And there's so
Yeah,
much
really.
that we don't know, that we can't, that we are just, and again, that's not to say we can't do it. We can do whatever the hell we want, but it is just it's a little bit of speculation at this point, because when the chips are down, there is so much that goes out the window. I can't think of the word, but it makes our analysis all seem very stupid and
Sure.
meaningless.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
wins go out the window whenever Pain plays Loud.
Yeah.
But I do want to delve a little bit deeper. I don't know
Sure.
where this is a topic we'll talk about. But
Okay.
now
No,
that
go
Pain's
in.
lost to Loud, do we think Pain will actually make it to grand finals, or do we think their mentals
That's a very good
crumbled
question.
enough that they lose in the losers final?
Absolutely not. I don't think
So-
I don't think
Okay.
we see them in finals.
You
That's
don't think we're
tough.
going to see them in the finals, so you think they're
No.
going to crumble in the losers on the lower
Yeah.
finals? Okay.
Yeah.
Axe, go for it.
So for Pain not to make finals, I don't think INTZ somehow come back and beat Pain in the rematch.
That's because you don't believe in Yampi. I'm joking. They
That's
don't
No,
Axe
actually-
believes in
no, you're
Yampi.
correct. No, you're absolutely correct. It's because I don't believe in Yappy. No, really, if the secret to beating Pain is just having like three back-to-back world-class MVP jungle performances, Yappy doesn't have it in him. Put me
Fair
on the
enough.
record.
Cheers.
Put me on the record. He doesn't have it in him. And he didn't have it in the first round, and he's not gonna have it in this one.
Mhm.
If it's Red, yeah, I think Red could probably take Pain out of that top spot, but it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to watch Titan play some just you know what Titan's like.
Mhm.
Some crazy clutch games or something like that. I think that series would actually be competitive at least, which would be nice because we spent this whole split long peddling the top of the bracket as like really competitive and close and everything.
Mhm.
And every time a top 4 team has met so far, it's been a 3-0, which is really disappointing because we
Mhm.
thought it'd be competitive and then
Yeah.
it just wasn't. So yeah, I think Red probably take Pain out, but there's just no way for INTZ.
4-4?
I think I don't know, man. It's really tough. I mean, I think if you're talking about who's in a better place mentally, I think it is Red, because I think they're playing obviously much looser and with a lot less to lose.
Mhm.
I think at their ceiling, I still just have this nagging like, look, if Red figure it out, on paper, right? They're not the Red Canids, they're the Dunder Mifflin Canids, because on paper, this team is incredible. But we haven't really seen it at a consistent level. I think they could beat Pain. I don't know. I think Pain will get back to the grand finals, but it is going to be I think it'd be another Los Grandes situation where Dinketo, they go up 2-0, and then they're on the verge of Dinketo being the only player to get reverse swept twice in CBLOL history.
Mm.
And Red bring it back to game 4, but Pain do clutch it out, and then they have the fans believing again, and then they get let down again in his CF.
Yeah. Okay.
But it would be incredibly hype to have INTZ go all the way, because
Sure.
they have that in them. Like their last
Yeah.
2 titles, they weren't supposed to win. I think 2019 they were huge underdogs. 2020, I know they were huge underdogs against that Pain lineup. And so look, they have this in them, right? They've got the power of friendship and vibes, and Scream God finally figuring it out. Like I if you're asking me who I want to see, I would love to see INTZ win it. I don't know if I'd love to see INTZ international competition. I think
I don't think Faker can handle it.
for the strength of the
Yeah.
for the strength of the CBLOL and kind of this upward trajectory that we're on internationally, I don't think setting INTZ would be a good idea. But for the domestic narratives, it'd be incredibly sick.
You just
mean,
imagine the INTZ fans though.
other-
It'd be so insufferable.
They would- oh my
other
God.
side to that though, like if
Mhm.
INTZ were to make it to Worlds,
Mhm.
yeah, they might not have a better record than other CBLOL teams that have gone in the past, but it would mean that more players with international experience are now playing at a domestic level, which could really
Yeah,
help
kind of
the,
looking
like,
towards the future,
caliber
is that
of
you're
the
not
league.
sending the
Yeah.
same people over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
No, for the long term, yeah.
Because I think we're seeing a very I think we're seeing how that can hurt with Loud right now, because Loud are so they came into the season and literally hadn't practiced. I don't know if we forgot
Yeah.
about that, but they literally hadn't scrimmed, and they were bad, and then they just started winning, and now they're just continuing to win against some of the best teams in CBLOL, or at least coming into the series, one of the best teams in CBLOL. and they're not making it look difficult. I think in large part because they do have more international experience than anyone else at this point, especially more recent international experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another point I was going to make and I forgot it.
Sorry about that, King.
No, that's okay. That's my own fault. Go ahead, and if it comes to me, I will interrupt whoever comes
Sure.
next.
Well, let's pop over to the INTZ series because we're talking
Oh,
about them anyway.
wait, I
Okay,
got it.
yeah, go.
Okay.
I also want to see again, just talking purely against World's performance. I still maintain setting INTZ would be a bad thing, but I'd be so happy to be proven wrong again.
Yeah.
But I do think that if INTZ were to win this whole thing, something in my mind tells me that would be the best shot at keeping this roster together. I feel like INTZ, if they don't win it all, it's not to say they would blow it up completely, but I think there would be changes. And
Sure.
there's something very romantic about the idea of keeping this roster together completely. And I think winning the whole dang thing is the best possibility of that.
Yeah.
There's my pet theory.
I think if they get second, there's a decent shot at it too.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Put up.
Do we want to talk about like
final.
what changes we want to see in INTZ now? Or
I mean,
do
do
we
it,
wanna-
RMC.
Okay, no,
Stir
I'm
that
curious. Like,
pot.
if we do think that INTZ won't stick together, then who do we think they're gonna lose, or who do you think we're gonna change out?
I think they would. Maybe not that they would want to, but just like the shelf life of imports in Brazil seems to be like a split. I think ZZK is probably gone, or he gets poached by somebody.
No
okay.
way.
Like maybe he gets like the Croc treatment, right, where he's on Rensga and then Miners, and then just keeps kind of steadily moving up to more. I'm not even gonna say more well-resourced teams because it's INTZ. They have the resources,
Right.
and they've shown they're willing to shell out for imports because I mean imports are expensive. They got Korean imports, 2 of them. They had imported before, but it was Decoy from OS and White Lotus from LATAM. Not all imports are built the same. All respect to those guys.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think they would probably swap out a support. I think the 2 import spots, but I feel like they would keep Yampy because he is the most kind of veteran presence. I feel like you build around him. He's kind of the only sure thing I could say. I feel like this is just gut. Him and Ninja Kiwi. Again, and maybe Nosferos goes and chases the bag. Shoot, here. Why don't I pull up the GCD and see when all these dudes' contracts end? That would be a great idea.
November 20th, 2023. So the entire
all
team.
5 of them?
Oh, you know what would be so fun actually is if
Ooh.
they picked up Zai. They picked up Zai.
Yeah, I was gonna say
That would
Nia.
actually be
Nia
really
gets swapped
good.
out for me.
Yeah, because
that's
I was
another,
thinking
yeah.
like Nia could go out for Ranger, but I don't know if Ranger really meshes with Ninja Kiwi. I think Zai could to bring a lot of really interesting things to that team. I don't think he'll
I
leave
think that
Furia,
would be
but
really
Zai
hype.
Ninja Kiwi would be the second most functional pairing I could think of the current recent supports. Like the only thing worse might be Trigo Zai.
worse.
Yeah, okay, because hear me out. So Ninja Kiwi
Yeah.
isn't the most lane dominant AD carry. So I think the INTZ's goal has always been get Ninja Kiwi to the team fight point. Zai wants to kill people in lane, and I'm here for it. I respect that. That is the CBLOL way. Ninja Kiwi does not do that, and pairing them together would force a lot of fights that I don't think Ninja Kiwi is ready to take.
But do you think that it would be good for his growth? That he would be forced into being a more maybe dynamic AD carry, right?
also-
Being someone who can take the team fights, right? That I feel like is something you don't really unlearn, right? That is just something like if you can right click well and you have that like game sense, that is just kind of more built into you as an AD carry. But like knowing these kind of specific matchups and this willingness to take risks, if that's not your game plan, maybe they shift the game plan and that becomes something Ninja Kiwi has to do. And we see the next version. We see, like does the boy, does the man. We see, Ninja Kiwito and then Ninja Kiwaso.
Well,
Okay,
that's became that's the retired. So
Before you respond to this, RMC, about whether it would be good for Ninja Kiwi, also consider that Yampy's on the team, and I think that Yampy and Zai would make a great pairing. Because
would be
Yampy
fun.
wants to kill
That would be
people,
fun.
and oftentimes he lacks the backup of the resources. And Zai also wants to kill people, and he seems to make time for doing that garbage. He's
And I think Yampy is one of the most cerebral junglers that we have. I mean, the guy plays
hands down.
he plays solo queue autofill because he insists on learning every single
Really?
matchup and how he plays autofill.
That's crazy.
Because he insists on being like, he's like, I need to know everything. Like as a jungler, I need to know how to impact my lanes, and the best way I can do that is to learn how each lane, each matchup is supposed to go. He's crazy.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
That's how
100%.
OG players got good.
Back when you blind picked.
Yeah.
No. But the problem is, okay, I think it would be good for Ninja Kiwi to grow that way, but it's risky, and not all AD carries can grow that way. Some of them will just end up inting, and I think for CBLOL, especially for a team like INTZ, they are not interested in developing any like they've already spent a year developing this roster. They want results, right? And so if you're gonna maintain Ninja Kiwi, I don't think you're gonna pair him up with a growing. You're not trying to grow Ninja Kiwi more with your.
You think it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just like
Yeah.
make whoever you bring in fit into your plan, not vice versa.
Yeah, because he's already on your squad. He's already on this roster, right? Like if you're retaining him, you're building around him. You're not building him. You're building around him. Yeah. So actually, I was kind of thinking the opposite from before. You're thinking about people who might leave to take the bag somewhere else. I was actually just thinking like if we wanted to upgrade this roster, where we go with it. So I was thinking we actually retain ZZK because he's so strong.
Yeah.
And I was looking at
in theory, I think you would. Yeah, like if you could just play it out. However, I just don't feel like
Axeman, feel free to get in on this as well.
Nah, I'm fun. It's fun.
Sorry, we're gonna dominate this one a bit. Yeah, if anything, I'm actually curious about Nostros and Ninja Kiwi because I think they're a good fit for this team. But speaking about the fact that Ninja Kiwi isn't lane dominant, I do think that AD carry is the most contested role, and I could see other alternatives for Ninja Kiwi which would still fit this roster. And Nostros for me is a very interesting choice because, especially this last weekend, we saw I think it was in game 4. Game 4. He just slammed the Cassiopeia so early, and it was a perfect pick, and it actually messed up a lot of VK's comp later on. That's not something a lot of mid laners can do. So I almost feel like he's
got that Tinones in him.
He's got a little bit of that. Yeah. Except he's not as lane dominant, so that's why I think a lot of people have been looking down on Nostros, or not say looking down, but overlooking him a little bit on this roster. But I think he's really, really good. And so when I look at this INTZ roster, I actually think that they might maintain it, even if they end up like only say top 4 instead of top 2. I still think this is a squad that's worth retaining. And if anything, you just need to either polish a little bit more. If you are going to change, then I think you're changing out Ninja Kiwi because he's the piece that I think needs a little bit more polishing. And if you're chasing that championship and you want a quick change, then yeah.
So if you're the GM and you're assuming that you can re-sign everybody that you would want to, you're saying the piece you change in this hypothetical world where you don't have to deal with the actual constraints of being a GM, which is a lot more fun to play it. That's better. You would swap out Ninja Kiwi.
Ninja Kiwi or Nostros. Nostros only if I can get my hands on something like Tinones or
I was gonna say like
So if Pain just goes completely pear shaped, then you swipe Dinketo.
Yeah, you swipe Pivo and Dinketo.
I like that. Ooh.
I think you can take Envy as well. Like if you want.
Okay. Envy's an interesting one. I am not happy with Envy this split. So
I think Envy would be great with Yampy.
It would be actually. That'd be a good combination.
Because he has functioned better with junglers that haven't been as kind of resource heavy.
Yeah. But who are willing to play to him, because I think like Aegis is the pinnacle utility jungler, like best jungler. And Envy has not done well in Red because Aegis doesn't play towards Envy. Envy plays for Titan. I mean, Aegis plays for Titan, sorry.
All right.
Aegis has a great rel.
Axeman,
really good facilitator.
I wanted to know. I mean, we've been talking about INTZ. We had their whole series against VKS. It was. I mean, you were there. You watched the whole thing. You especially
there.
Game. I think it was 3 where we just watched comps run at each other for a little while. How are you feeling about INTZ's chances?
Not good. Not good. INTZ-RED, I don't think it's gonna be a good time. For them, I think they just get torn up by Titan, man. I think they don't find their line again, and I think they have a difficult time. I'm trying to think of because the Urgot pick has been big for them. I'm trying to decide if FNB is going to be able to deal with that, and I just can't help thinking he's probably going to be fine into this Urgot thing. Like he's just gonna hurdle it, and it's gonna be okay.
Question: how do you think that he and Aegis deal with it? Because I think that a big part of this has been ZZK Yampy, like pressuring with the Urgot in the top lane. Yampy covers a lot of vision for ZZK to just be. Do you think Aegis is going to be able to work well with FNB?
No, I don't think so. I think it's definitely just an FNB weathering the storm and 1v2ing.
Sure.
and neutralizing that Urgot. No, I think Aegis is going to be doing what RMC was saying, just playing facilitator and helping out the rest of the map, which is honestly something that's going to help them out more than anything, because we've seen so much of the top lane 2v2 over the course of the tournament so far, and I think that's a little bit of a misplay. I think there are a lot of really good top laners, and like if you're playing into Pain, Wiser needs to be shut down, like Loud did, and that was really effective. But I think if you can play to bot is still the strongest lane in the game right now, and not too many teams are like just actively playing for that with the jungle 3v3. And I think Aegis will. I think that's just going to carry them over the finish line, because Titan's going to have more resources.
It's so scary going up against Titan, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think earlier, 404, you were the person that said, like, okay, if Red figure it out, they could beat Loud, or whatever it was. We were talking about the chances up against Loud. I wanted to ask to the group, do we think that Red are still figuring it out? Because I've gone into every week and gone, all right, Red, this is your time. You're going to work as a team. And they don't. And I'm starting to think that maybe they just don't want to. They don't see like our version of peak League of Legends at the end of this, and instead they've gone, you know what? We're going to farm Brazil with 5 crazy dudes, and that's how we want to play the game. Thoughts?
Yeah, that was my fear when we first saw this roster, right? Like we knew they were going to be good individually. The question was always, can they mesh, whether it be ego wise or resource demand wise, and that's just been the issue, right? They just can't seem to click together in the weirdest ways.
But is that a problem? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at where they are. We're talking about them going into the semifinal. Sorry. We're talking about them going into the finals. Is them not playing together a problem if they're able to get to the finals and have a chance of beating Loud?
Pain's made it to the finals 3 times in a row. Yeah, that's still been an issue for them. It's CBLOL. The only thing that matters is winning it all. Nobody cares about second place. In fact, getting second place multiple times is probably a detriment to an organization more than an accolade.
I forgot who got second place already. That
it was probably Pain.
I wish I could.
It was probably Pain.
Yeah.
But third place, right out. No idea.
So yeah, I think for Red it is an issue, because if they don't work together, I don't think they beat Pain, much less get to Loud. And heck, they might even lose to INTZ. My biggest problem with Red, ironically, isn't even the fact they can't work together. My bigger problem is the way they are coin flipping their way through this. They are like VKS 2.0 right now, where they get massive.
It seems like they kind of like don't really have. It doesn't look like they have a plan. It looks like they just kind of go in and they're just playing like street ball.
Yep, that's actually a pretty good way of putting it. Like the fact that Titan can get a monumental lead and then single-handedly throw it, or FNB can just randomly push a lane with 0 coverage, 0 pressure on the other side of the map, and get punished for it. And like, okay, or watching Envy just literally try and 1v5 when he doesn't need to. It's kind of weird. They'll get their leads and they'll throw it anyways. So with Red, like they have a lot of issues they need to patch up. The fact that they are where they are with all these multitude of issues just speaks to how good their individual skill is.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to to kind of add on that, but I think the point stands with RMC. Like you've got like FNB has never won a title before.
Yeah,
Titan and Aegis want to get back there. You don't go from like, okay, we're gonna go from like Avenger and Bowl, and you know what? We're gonna give it one last shot. That flamed out. Titan went, F this. I want to win. Give me actual players, and they got them right.
Yep.
And then you don't do that and then go, yeah, you know what? Third place. You know what? We gave it the old college try. They need to win. They want to win, right? Like this offseason is going to be really, really interesting. I think also for Red. Like, was this just a one split wonder roster, right? Like, do you look at, because there are going to be other rosters that blow it up. Like if Los Grandes doesn't, convince Natuno / Ranger to stay, right? Do you try and upgrade there? Hell, like, do you believe in Ranger support? That would be unbelievable. Could you imagine if you added to this like red stew of, I'm not going to make our episode get expletive tagged again, Dia. I almost did. I didn't. I held my tongue. This red soup of, of poopery. And then just like, you put Ranger support in the.
Nah.
It would be so
Yeah.
much fun.
And
Awful
actually-
idea. It would be so much fun.
For Red, can I also talk about the coaches for a second? Because we look at
Yeah.
the coaches they brought in this split, right? They brought in Kalec and Nelson. And Kalec's known to be like a very structured coach. I can't imagine what their training sessions are like when you've got Red, who just don't seem coordinated, and you've got Kalec, who's incredibly coordinated, trying to teach them.
I just want to drop in, like, since we're talking about the coaching staff, something that popped up on the, what did you call it, the GDC 4x4?
Yeah.
Their coaches' contracts have different expiry dates. Kalec is signed till November of 2024. In June, Nelson's contract was updated to only be until the end of this season.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, I guess do we know what it was before, or can you do like that?
I don't.
You can't go in. Google
I
Sheets
know,
has a function.
I know that he joined in May, so it could have just been that it was finally updated, and that he was only signed for one season initially. But I just want to throw it out there as Nelson maybe not being part of this next season.
Yeah, Nelson only coming to Brazil for one split does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
That dude has been a region hopper for the last.
He's a globetrotter.
Yeah, since 2018, LMS Brazil, he coached Vivo Cade back in the day, 2018. China, Europe, another European team, and then Red. That is in the last 4 years.
Yeah, this is second round in Brazil too, right? He coached that Kate Stars team back in. What was that?
Yeah, it was split 1 2019 for one split.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just curious about like what's the coaching situation for Red Canids as well? Because if you want to keep the roster of all these like incredible players, then is it maybe a coaching change that needs to be done? And I'm not saying you need to change out the coaches. It might be a stylistic change the coaches need to adapt to or something like that, right? But if Red don't win this, if they don't even make grand finals, I think something's going to give them this. On this,
well, just because it's so expensive, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
there's no way these are cheap.
It costs a lot of money to get third.
What are the contract expiry dates for everybody else on Red?
let me check.
If you still got that up.
Actually, they're all around. No, never mind. FNB's is end of this season. So is Aegis. So is
no. Aegis
they're all a year out. They're all a year out.
Everyone is November 24.
Yeah, everyone's November 24.
I see Aegis is 25th. Not 25th. 25th.
Yeah. Aegis is 25th and Titan is 25th.
Yeah, and then Titan's just eternally bonded to Red. I think he sold his soul at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
They're not getting rid of Titan.
Yeah, I would.
So actually, they'll have this roster for at least one more year, which means I'm curious if like there's going to be some sort of coaching change or like support staff change. Then
how does contract breaking work in League of Legends? Does it not happen? Do people buy other people out?
It happens.
Yeah, it happens, but it's just buyouts, and I don't think it's as crazy in Brazil. Like people don't sign players to just like these insano contracts where like you're in buyout jail. Like Perks and Cloud9 was like the most famous example in 2021. Or maybe it is insane and it hasn't caught up to them yet. We don't know, or I don't know the financials.
Do you think they keep Frosty right now?
That could be another place where they upgrade.
Depends on how they finish.
And if there's any contract that's probably easiest to buy out, Frosty's a rookie. He's on the cheapest money.
And Frosty hasn't looked bad. I mean,
he's good.
No,
I think like
pump the brakes. Frosty has looked
okay.
Frosty is
sorry.
not.
He
has
looked
I
bad.
think someone else.
He has had bad days, but for a person,
I think someone else could be getting a steal, right? If someone else buys out Frosty.
Yeah, I think you could definitely moneyball up Frosty, but I don't want to look at some of these Rakan games and be like, "Hey, not bad."
No.
Wait, his Rakan games have been cracked. It's been like his not Rakan games.
But I think that what I mean to say about Frosty is that like for somebody who has been on a team as disjointed as this one and being a rookie, he has looked good.
Yes.
Because he has not looked like he doesn't know what's happening all of the time. He is playing in a crazy place and he's doing okay.
Yeah, I think mechanically he's been one of the best supports in terms of just his hands. The problem is that support isn't just a mechanical role, right? Like when we praise Jojo, when we praise Seos, when we're praising Delta, a lot of it's macro. And
you have to function as a secondary jungler in terms of just like your macro and your game sense.
And I want to make this very clear for any support on Red, trying to play macro is going to be very, very difficult because the lanes aren't in good positions most of the time. Like Aegis, that's why I think Aegis is so amazing, because he makes the team actually look like they're doing things together when really they're not. Every time I see Titan over push his lane and FNB like basing at the same time with no pressure topside, no vision on the enemy jungler, I'm just like, this is gonna hurt. And somehow Aegis like is able to like run across the map and cover when he needs to. And given what happens in the mid to late game, I refuse to believe that's actually coordinated. I think that's just Aegis putting out fires as fast as he
It
can.
has to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has actually probably been a really good split for Aegis' growth. Oh no.
What's up?
Oh no, what?
Oh.
I'm looking at my hand.
D is jumping around. It's
Yeah.
not good.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, we're back.
Okay.
Awesome.
We're all
Everything's good.
Woo! That was spooky. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I think this split's probably been pretty good for Aegis. Like, for his like growth and value that he brings to a team, because he's been playing with a lot of these people, and he's been playing in a role that forces him to bring them together when they clearly don't want to be. So probably more valuable to other teams now.
I made an offhand comment in the green room before we went live for Red versus Loud.
Okay.
And I said, something we don't have to bring up is that when FNB is in these situations in the playoffs where he thinks his team can't carry, and he gets really frustrated, he'll try and pick like heavier and heavier carries in the top lane until eventually he arrives at Quinn, and then he'll pick Quinn, and at that point we'll be at critical int mass. And we didn't get there in the Loud series, but for some reason it got brought up on broadcast anyway, and then that was our main narrative for the whole thing.
That was so
which
weird.
was crazy because no one ever even hovered Quinn. But it was this case where it was like he kept losing to the Renekton a couple times, and like it was super tough. The rest of the map was like inting the bot lane, super inted him on game 3. And we were like, okay, it's gonna happen. Now he's gonna pull out the Quinn, and he didn't. Because I think he still believes in this team, and I still do as well. I think Titan and Frosty are still a good bot lane. And I think the rest of the map is worth playing around. But mark my words, we will see Quinn before the playoffs is over. Because Red are like spiraling right now, and I know it's in the back of FNB's mind. He's like, I could carry this if they pick Renekton. I could just pick the Quinn and carry it, and it's gonna happen. But yeah, no, I think that'll be a cool narrative going to the back end of the playoffs. And
I don't think we've seen playoffs form Robo yet, but I do think that even the Robo that we've seen could destroy a Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Renekton. Yeah.
He'll just pick Poppy and just be like, come at me, bro. Like,
yeah.
I do not give a crap
Robo
about
now
you.
has that Poppy, and just like in the span of 3 games turned it from like, oh yeah, right, he can play this, to sweet Jesus, we gotta ban this out. Like,
I mean, well, Payne didn't seem to get the memo on that second part about we need to ban this out. They did not ban it out. But let's not forget, Robo's always had this. Even when he was on Payne with Karaoke, I remember talking about the fact that was such a strong flex pick between Karaoke and Robo. It just feels like everybody always forgets that, hey, Robo can play Bobby. Like, he can play Tristana if you pick an R into him.
I think it just surprises me that he has that much respect for the rest of the team. I think that I think that's a not symptom. It's caused by him perhaps having played with them for so long, having won championships with them for so long. But I think you put Robo on any other team with any other players that don't have that history, and he's not picking Poppy for you. Like Robo doesn't have that energy. You know what I'm saying? I
don't know what sort of energy Robo has anymore. He just Robo just does Robo things, man.
Yeah. That's what
I'm saying. I think
it's
wild looking back at the regular split for Loud in the Pain series to go, yeah, we're gonna pick Poppy for Robo and we're gonna pick Nocturne for Croc. That's so wild to me.
Yeah.
Like the absolute discipline you would have to like, because those are some of the worst games they lost. Were like Robo's Poppy and Croc turn, which we just hated all split long. And they were like, no, you know what? Trust the process, and just ran it a quick 3 games, which was so cool because talked to the coach during that series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about how they're working on picks and stuff, working on champion pools. I think.
Let's not forget they ripped a Xerath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Sprint the Xerath.
Xerath is good now. I'm very convinced.
It is.
He's
It is.
good.
Yeah.
I was talking with Cyan God last week, actually, while we were watching Academy games, and we were spitballing this
Shout out.
idea against this year. Yeah, so shout out Cyan God, the prophet of CBLOL, has always been for unofficial and even now for official. We kind of knew it was coming. I was actually disappointed that Dinkido didn't whip something out, because I think it was Payne's Twitter, which tweeted that Dinkido was working on something, cooking something, a pick, and then it just never materialized. And I was like, why?
And then in
Like,
game 3, with the backs against the wall, we got hard.
Kha'Zix. And
That
we got
was so
Kha'Zix jungle for
crazy.
karaoke.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, karaoke, not the person I wanted to experiment with. Let's jump into the schedule for next week as well,
Okay.
so that we can talk about some of those matchups. All right. On your screens right now, you should all have a screenshot of what's coming up next. So, Red versus INTZ, we've talked about them a little bit. I guess series predictions is a good place to start. Do we think that INTZ takes a game? I don't think a lot of people are predicting that INTZ win it, though. Feel free to go for it. Axeman, does INTZ win a game?
No, Red 3-0.
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah. Titan gets the groove back.
I'm going to take the opposite end of this to give RMC and 4i4, who are...
You're going to take INTZ 3-0? No, you're not.
I think this is a 3-2, though. I think this series actually goes far, and I think INTZ win 2 games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll jump in. I'll say Red 3-2. I think INTZ keep being just criminally underrated. Let's not forget, yes, they got 3-0'd by Pain, but they're just Pain light, right? That was the whole comparison we were making the whole year. That was a really close 3-0. That was a closer 3-0 than the Loud 3-0.
Such a closer 3-0.
Right? Like this is a legitimately good team. Like I'm done. Like I still think Red will take the series because again, just they will, like the better talent will just win out in the end. But I think there will be a game or two, bless you, where I think Red will just disrespect them. Like they have just been eternally disrespected. I think 3-1, 3-2. Yeah.
I'm there.
And if INTZ won, it wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't.
It would definitely be cause for celebration. You know, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is just like one of the 2 outcomes. I'd be like, wow.
But I think this is like a 65-35 as far as who's going to take the whole series.
Yeah.
I think INTZ are legitimately good. It would be an upset for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if INTZ won. I don't think they will though.
RMC?
Trying to decide if I should vote with my head or my heart. I've been mostly voting with my heart, which is why my predictions are so screwy.
I'm interested to know both. What do you want here? Like, do you actually want INTZ to do well?
Yeah, so my heart wants INTZ to win this 3-1. I think they deserve it. They are the more disciplined team. They have been. I've been liking a lot of their drafts. I think they've been doing all the right things, and they've been growing, and they're kind of the underdogs. So my heart wants a 3-1 for INTZ, and like Forever said, I think this series more than any other. Actually, no, I was gonna say more than any other, but Kate Star's INTZ literally could have won anywhere from 3-0 one side to the other.
Yeah, that one you could have convinced me of any outcome. I'd have been like, that makes sense.
But I do think INTZ technically has the skill to scrap up against Red, and the issue for me is less INTZ and more about Red, because I called Red VKS 2.0, and I meant it. Like my heads tell me it's going to be a Red 3-1, and I don't think INTZ is going to win any of those games. That one win for INTZ is not INTZ winning. That's Red throwing a game. Yeah, that's what my head's telling me.
Yeah.
I don't think that INTZ win this series if it's a 4-game series. I think that it has to be that Red are having such a day that they've already put themselves in weird positions for 2 games, and INTZ's maybe had a couple good ones, but if anybody is playing on form to close it out in 4 games, it's not going to be INTZ.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Red will just have to have some kind of breakdown around the Cassiopeia pick, and by the time they're able to adapt to it, ZZK gets Gwen or something on a random counter pick, and then he carries it, and then maybe
Yeah, I think
Maybe
the
they
Urgot might be an
3-1.
issue. That'll be interesting to see if FNB can handle Urgot, because Kigo surprisingly couldn't. Since all of you said red, I'll go with my heart. I'll go INTZ 3-1.
Nice.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it
Yeah,
a lot.
let's get some diversity in the cast.
What do we think about the Pain matchup? Not for either of the teams because we don't know what's going to happen, but I mean stylistically, right? If INTZ move on, we get a rematch in the finals. Which is a little rough. Also pretty cool, but a little rough. Do we think Red could beat Pain?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Pain are better, but I think again it'll just come down to mental.
So here's the thing. I don't want to see Pain get an easy win and we lose this final. I actually want them to throw out what worked for them up to this point right out the window. I want to see them like play wild, play crazy, because I don't think you're going to beat Loud the way they're playing. So for Pain, either win with a completely new style or don't win at all. I mean, to be fair, at the beginning of the season, I also said that I think Pain either win it all or they don't even make grand finals. So this is kind of just an extension of that.
It would be nice to see them like extend, because they do have a style they have been winning with during the split. If they like take the semifinals and work on a different one, just one that they think will work, like a shot in the dark, and they actually manage to make it, then they're entering the grand finals with at least 2 cards that they can play, which is way better than what we had in semis.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
It's one of the reasons why I didn't bash the Kha'Zix pick either for game 3. Like, sure, it didn't work, but at least you tried to change something up. And like Warhorse mentioned, that you've got the lower bracket, right? So it's not completely GG.
Not what I would have tried, but I did say they should have thrown something at the wall and see if it sticks.
Exactly. I think I was calling for a Lee Sin. That's what I think I called for.
Yeah, you did. You did call for Lee Sin,
yeah. Karaoke Lee Sin.
Yeah, but I just wanted something different, you know? So that's okay with that.
I'd have called for Hecarim.
That would have been fine. Yeah.
Actually, into Poppy, probably not, but yeah.
No, it would have been awful. But anything would have been awful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's worth the change, you know? I'd have been okay with it. Anything, even the Cosmic was fine.
I think this episode is concluded. We've talked about most things. Axeman, what should I name this episode?
What should you name this episode?
Yeah.
Axeman was so tired for this episode.
I am going to name the episode that. Everybody can find this episode.
Oh,
Axeman
no.
was so tired for this episode up on Spotify. Do we have this on Apple Podcasts, 4x4?
No.
All right, I'll sort that out later. You will find it on Apple Podcasts in like 2 months. And
nice. Awesome.
Enjoy this
Good.
weekend. We'll see you for the lower next round and then also the semis and all that. So we love you. Bye. Everybody say bye. Bye.